Hi and welcome. So excited to have you here. I wanted to get started right away and make sure that people have time to follow us over to the Cognition page. We have been live streaming from Speak Pros, which is our fantastic app that has eye tracking technology available on the iPad. And today is our first day where we are available on the Cognition page. And so if you made it here, wonderful. And we are going to be bringing on Vicki Clarke to join us today. So just give us a minute. I'm letting some people get on and join us. I don't know if you've ever done this, but moving from one page to another can be just a little stressful because we were saying, like, what if they don't see our post and what if they don't know where we're moving to? So thank you for joining us. All right, here we go. Bringing on Vicki.
Hi.
Right. Hi, how are you?
Doing great.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here with us, Vicki. Let me just turn on your name so we know who you are. There you go. Where are you located?
I am outside of Atlanta in Kennesaw, Georgia.
Oh, cool. So what's the temperature there?
Hot as it can be. Hot and humid and hellish, as they say.
Yes, I know. What's your humidity there?
Oh Lord, I don't even know. It's pretty bad. And when you do it when you're out there with your masks on your face, it's even warmer.
I'm sure. Have you considered doing the see-through masks?
I actually started sewing during the pandemic, and I figured out how to make the little cutesy masks, and I've got my little board maker, Mayor Johnson fabric masks. But my next step is to figure out how to do the little insert. I'm not quite that skilled yet, so we'll see how that goes.
Sounds like you're doing great. This is wonderful.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
I'm so glad to have you, Vicki. You and I have known each other for a number of years. Yeah. And when we started doing these, I had you on my list and I said, I got to make sure that she comes on board with us because you have such an interesting perspective of working this as a private practice. And then you also are always involved in so many other things. You've been online for so long. You've been leading us through products and everything. So let's take you back a little bit. You are a speech language pathologist, right?
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell us how you got started in the AAC community?
So I actually got started when I was in graduate school. The one thing I knew I was not going to do when I entered graduate school was work with people who had developmental disabilities, just because I thought, I don't know how to do that. I'm not sure I know how to help. And so, of course, fate jumps in, and my very first internship was at a hospital doing AAC evaluations. So I started right there, and then went through another couple of internships. I worked with Gracie Williams in Wake County Schools. She's fantastic, and really honed my skills there. Enrolled from graduate school into my first job in Wake County Schools, and then it's just been on from there. So that was 1991. So things have changed drastically since
Definitely.
Then. They have. So
that's fantastic. Okay, and then you've had your own private practice, dynamic therapy.
Yes. When I left North Carolina, I left Raleigh in 95, and I had a small child, and I wanted to be able to be at home more with her. So rather than going back into the schools full time, I opened my own practice. I worked for somebody else and then opened my own practice in 1997. It was just me part-time for a while, and then my husband joined me about 5 years in, and we have not looked back. We have 5 full-time AAC specialists right now, about 150 patients coming in regularly or telepracticing now regularly with us. And then we have a DTA schools team where we're out working in school districts. I think we're in 8 school districts now, doing AAC services with myself and myself, another AAC specialist, and 2 parapros. So
congratulations. That's amazing, Vicki.
Yeah, good stuff.
So I also know you through Exceptional Ed, where
Yes.
we've been providing courses that are specific to special education, assistive technology, disabilities. So tell us a little bit about your presenting history.
So I started presenting back in Wake County Schools. My mentor, Gracie Williams, kind of pushed me into that. It actually it's been a really, really good thing for me. I did it because people would pay my way to go to conferences, and I wanted to go to lots and lots of conferences. So I did a lot of presenting in my local school district, and then I also started going out to national conferences because I wanted to go anyway, and somebody would pay my way. So that's kind of how I got going. It was hard for me. The first 10 years, every night before I presented, I got sick every single night. But you know what? It's what has driven my career as far as really learning a lot about AAC. And so now I present. I do, national conferences, and then I also do trainings. School districts and educational agencies will have me come out and do trainings for them that way. And then we're doing some of the webinars on exceptional ed, and then we have our own membership-based resource website for DTA schools, where I do a lot of training and webinars in that platform as well.
Excellent. Can you expand on what DTA is?
So DTA stands for Dynamic Therapy Associates, just a little bit easier to say. And then DTA Schools is just a way for us to kind of pull that name into the work that we do in our school system.
Thank you. Because sometimes we have these acronyms that we use, and I know a lot of times we'll be at an IEP meeting and someone will drop something and I'm like, what was that? And I was like, oh, I knew that.
Right. I think more people know us as Dynamic Therapy, or AAC Chicks is our social media handle. We're kind of all over the place. Our parents here the parents made me start doing Facebook back in the day because they were like, everybody's on Facebook and you have all these resources. You need to be on Facebook. So I started doing that, and then that kind of took off. We're doing Instagram and Twitter under that name.
I love that. And this is a really good point, is back in the day, speech therapists weren't really branding and marketing and doing these things through social media channels.
Right.
And then you just mentioned Instagram. Good for you. That to me is like another beast. So how do you feel about doing that?
Oh, I love Instagram. And I think what I like about it is it's visual media. So you can, I think it's easier when we're talking about AAC, it's easier if you can see what we're talking about, the actual materials that we're using, right? So I guess I actually like the look of AAC myself. So I enjoy Instagram. And now there's Instagram TV, so you can do, longer segments of video. And then it all feeds together, right? Instagram goes to Facebook, and then it goes over to Twitter. And so I don't even touch Twitter. Everything just dumps over there for me. So
nice. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so you don't know this, and I wonder if your ears are ringing a couple of times a month, because I talk about you and I recommend the DAG 2.
Oh, thank you. Yep.
Yes, and I remember when that came out years ago. What was the first version? Do you know the year?
Yes, 2006, I believe, is when Holly Schneider and I started working on that. And at the time, Holly was working for Dynavox. And so I volunteered my time, and she worked through them. And we took multiple years doing different iterations of the DAG. And at this point, we are on the DAG 2, and some work is being done with that. Now, of course, Dynavox is Toby Dynavox. Holly no longer works with them, but has been pulled in for some consultation, and they're doing some work on that right now too. And then they've taken the DAG and turned it into Pathways, which is the iPad version, and I think also you can also do it on online, so you can actually access the Goals Grid, the AAC Goals Grid, on that free app, which that's really cool too. So yeah, I've gotten lots of good feedback about the DAG. I think we originally did it because there weren't any AAC goal banks that we could find out there, and then we wanted it to be something that was research based, and so there's over 100 goals for AAC. They're organized by research-based competencies and ability levels. Patricia Dowden and Janice Light's work and all. So yeah, still using it. All my therapists use it every 6 months with every student, and so we do too. So.
Excellent. Well, I'm so glad that I got to bring it up, and we will put it in the comments. Actually, Vicki, when we get done, if you could drop the newest link in there for our audience, that would be great. Yep. Okay, so let's get moving into the main questions, which is, what is new? And, we talked about this before we started, and I said, you have such a great perspective because you're really in the trenches. So, give us what's going on in your area.
So I think one of the things we discussed was I think telepractice is sort of the low hanging fruit on what's new. You know, we're all working, you know, diligently to adjust to this format of providing services. So we've been doing a lot of work there. All of my therapists are doing telepractice right now with their patients. You know, we're trying to share and work in that area as well. But I think I haven't said a whole lot. Honestly, I haven't shared a whole lot in any blogs or social media. Not a lot on telepractice. We've done a little bit because I feel like that there are so many people talking about it right now that I thought probably better just to sit back and kind of let everybody else talk about it a little bit, unless there was something different that we had to offer, which we don't really. Honestly, we're kind of hanging in there with everybody else. But I think that one of the things that we talked about was the things that have changed over the past, like since 1991, in our field in AAC, and I think I'm really enjoying watching this return to the makers movement in AAC.
Yes.
You know, I think when we first started in the early 90s, there wasn't we didn't have materials really. You know, I mean, honestly, when I started, there wasn't even a board maker on a computer. You know, we weren't working off of computers at that point. Really, we were cutting and pasting and coloring and highlighting, you know, our symbols, right? And so we made everything. And then as you know, computers became more common and we were using software, I was still doing a lot of making because there wasn't a lot out there. Even then, I made hundreds of classroom suite activities and board maker activities, you know, and then we had this explosion where, you know, now we've moved from that maker perspective when we first started to we had a couple of decades of becoming a finder industry, right? So you need to be very good at going online and finding all the resources that people were sharing. And I stopped making for a while because there was no point in it. It took lots and lots of time. Well, now the point has returned for me. I realized I really like it. Like I really enjoy creating and developing, but now we have this really nice software twist to it. So I've been doing some work making boom cards, and
yes, that's the new game in town.
Oh, so much fun, right? And then my other DTA schools therapist, Jenna Coyer, she was just talking to me this week about working in Seesaw, which I've not done Seesaw yet. So now I'm thinking, oh, we're definitely going to be doing that too, and then kind of pulling those resources in with the materials that we're making and putting that all together in a format that is available through remote instruction. So like Nearpod, love Nearpod, that program where we can grab other people's videos and our own print media and our own trainings, and we can pull it all together into one package that can go out to parents, it can go out to teachers. So super excited about that. And I've been cutting and pasting and laminating and binding and having a great time at it. So
I love that. And I love how you're using the terminology of makers in the digital sphere. That makes me think of Bill Binko and Lori Binko. Bill moved in, Bill and Lori with Lesson Picks, and then Bill is the spearheaded the AT Makers face group, and just amazing, just activity in that space, you know, working with high schoolers and all of that. But to me, that was always like hands-on hardware, you know, really thinking out of the box in terms of accessibility. But you're using it now in the digital space. That totally makes sense. Yes. And I think years ago when it first started happening and these millennials came out and they were so good with graphic design, you know, that a lot of us are like, whoa, we don't know what we're doing. We're just going to let them take over. But now, you know, with Canva and all of these like easy to create tools, it's your imagination can just take off. So thanks so much for bringing that up. This is fantastic, Vicki.
So much fun.
Yes, I think we're ready for our next question, which is, in your expert opinion, what do you see as next for the AAC community?
You know, you asked me that before, and honestly, I think that's a really hard question. You know, I think that the big change, of course, was this off-the-shelf technology and ease of available tech for people, right? So we're seeing I feel like we're seeing a lot more AAC out there now. A lot of, we've talked in the past about helping get our SLPs comfortable with AAC. And, ATIA did their survey back in 2011, looking at, what are the training needs in AAC. And then they redid that survey in 2019. And what we found is that the training needs are exactly the same. There are many, many more people who are involved, I think, with AAC. I'm not having to explain to people platforms like I used to, like this is an iPad and you push this button. I don't have to do that. They know because they're digital natives, right? They know how to do that stuff. But what's happening is we still don't know how to implement, right? We still need to be working on that training through that the training and implementation. And one of the things that came out of that ATIA study was the need for online mentoring from experienced AAC specialists. So I think we're going to continue to see more of that. I think that there is, I think when we are doing our trainings, there's a lot of information at basic level AAC training information out there. I mean, everybody and their mama knows what core words are and right, what we're supposed to do with these core words, right? But I think that there's a deeper level that I feel like we're going to start seeing more people developing those trainings that address more of a deeper level understanding of AAC and implementation. That's where we're headed. We're trying to make accessible content for people, accessible content for families and professionals. So making the training make sense to those people, but figuring out how do you take this sort of deeper understanding and still make it easy to understand, digestible. So that's been my challenge, honestly, over the past couple of years, right?
Yes. And so Casey Barron just posted, and I'm like jumping out of my chair because I want to be bringing Casey on very soon. So I'm going to bring up her comment here. Hi, Vicki. Ooh, I love that idea of mentoring online. And I do this, so of course I love it. And I don't know if you know, but Casey is right now in the midst of her new program.
I've seen that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's something that we've been doing over Exceptional Ed is getting people, getting our leaders thinking about how can you go direct to one-on-one, helping people through actionable goals, and as a professional or going right to the parent, but instead of just doing a 1-hour class and you're done, but staying with them, helping them, going through the Q&A and then coming back next week and following up. So yes, so excited. Wonderful. All right. I have one more question for you. And this actually went back to what you were saying before. It's posted in the comments there. And it says, what web platform tools are you using for your team to do teletherapy and remote evals? Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so when this all first happened, I was pulling 60-hour weeks trying to figure out how we were going to go to telepractice. I mean, it was rough. It was rough for me and really rough for my therapist. They're all going home. They've got their own kids running around, just like everybody else. I think it's been hard. But for me, I was trying to figure out, from an owner perspective, how do I make this work for them? How do I give them the tools that they need? So we started off with a couple of different platforms. We started with about, I guess, probably 7 different platforms because we were now able to open up to anything. The government allowed us to, use our whatever we could use, right? So we tried a bunch of different things. We are now settled on, we are either using Zoom or Google Meet. Currently, Zoom is working better than Google Meet because we can pass remote control to the kids. That's the one thing that Meet does not do very well, is allow the kids to access. So that's pretty much the main thing that we're doing. And I'm looking at, I just started working with Nearpod over the past few weeks to do adult training, but it's also a really nice platform for working with students too. So, I mean, I think that's probably what it was meant for. But anyway, so I'm looking at starting to get my therapists a little bit more involved in using your platform to plan their lesson plans for the day for their students. So those are probably the 2 biggies. Evaluation. Evaluation is tricky. So the last eval I did, I had a document. I had my phone in a document holder, camera holder over top of Play-Doh, and I had Zoom running and my phone connecting in with Zoom. So I was modeling on the child's iPad into Zoom, and we were playing Play-Doh together. And my picture,
make it work.
Pull it all together, right? So we've also we had a meeting with our Toby Dynavox rep yesterday, and they were showing us how they were using, what are they using? I can't remember the name of it, but where we can take over on a Windows-based computer, a Windows-based device, we can take over their device. So to do some modeling in there. So that's going to be the next thing that we go to as far as doing evaluations is trying to actually get logged into their systems during the evals. We're having the different companies are all super willing to ship equipment straight to families so that we can work that way. So, you know, all the things, we don't have it nailed down, but I honestly don't think anybody else does either. Like whenever I see people, this is how you do telepractice, and you know, come here and I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm like, are you really? I don't know. I'm not sure we all have it totally nailed yet.
Yeah, but you know what's great is everybody's willing to work on it and they're not afraid of technology. So in the past couple of months, I've been helping people to learn about our SpeakPros app, which is eye tracking technology. It's very new. So I've been able to mirror the iPad and show them that this is how I use it, and then sending it to them. And we were able to do our first in-house evaluation where I was helping them, and they did have a caregiver. And it was amazing to watch them. Just like you said, they had a third phone and they joined and they were using it. I mean, it was like, you know, in the past, it would be like, oh, geez, I don't know if we're going to be able to get everybody on board and open to trying this. And now, you know, it's just become, I love this word, but ubiquitous. Like technology is everywhere and we're not going to break it. So let's just try it.
Just make it work, right? And I think everybody's being I think people are being very generous with each other and forgiving of themselves. Like we all know we're just doing our best here, you know, and that's all we can do. It's going to be messy. AAC has always been messy for all the decades I've been doing it. It's always been messy. It's going to continue to be messy. We're just being messy with technology now.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Vicki, for joining us and bringing your just wonderful personality and your openness. And we just love how you've been leading us step by step and looking forward to all of the new things you're up to, which I do remember you were going to show us something new.
This is my newest thing. I've been my AAC technician Barbara's been working on this with me. I kind of designed the concept and she's been making this work. This is our new wraparound. Look at this thing. I cannot tell you how excited. It's our wraparound core flip book. Check it out.
Oh, so look at that.
These are categories, and then in these categories, there's subcategories. So then you flip to a category, and then underneath it, oh my gosh, look at this. There's all these subcategories. So anyway, and then it all wraps up. And you can
pop that in the comments too for us, please.
Yeah, I'm almost finished. It's getting ready to go probably in the next couple of hours. So
that's fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Vicki, and we will stay in touch with you. How do we do that? Is it on Facebook or what's the best way?
So you can go to Facebook at Dynamic Therapy Associates. You can look us up there. At AAC Chicks, AACCHICKS, AAC Chicks, 2 C's too, on Instagram or on Twitter. You can find us there. And then our website is mydynamictherapy.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Try to stay cool out there.
Oh, yeah. It's really nice to talk to you again.
You too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. How exciting. Just want to tell you, we are so glad that you were able to join us today at our new home. And we will be streaming from this page, Cognition, every week on Wednesday at 9 o'clock Pacific and noon Eastern. And this edition was brought to you by Cognition and the SpeakPros app, where we offer an intuitive interface that allows people to express themselves using swipes, taps, and eye tracking technology. You can find out more about speakpros.com, and you can contact me directly for a demo, or to get a professional download, please contact me. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.